wonderful to see so many people joining us here today for today's Lunch and Learn discussion on assistive technology using STAR. My name is Leah. I've been contracted by the Olmstead Implementation Office, or OIO, as a facilitator for today's discussion. And we welcome everybody and are really excited for our guest speakers and this afternoon's topic today. So next slide, please. Just some simple ground rules to help us all have a productive and respectful discussion today. If we can all stay present and be respectful of other participants. Don't share personal contact information. Again, this meeting is also going to be recorded, so just keep things generalized if possible. Please stay on mute. And as I said, the event is being recorded. The recording will be shared sometime after next week. And there will be time for questions after our three guest speakers have spoken. If you have a question you'd like to ask, please submit that in the chat. The next slide, please. Just reminding people that cart captioning is available in today's presentation. If you would like this accommodation, click the CC closed caption button at the bottom of your screen, and you will be able to see the captions. ASL interpreters are also available. If you are interested in using an ASL interpreter and would like to pin their video to your screen to be sure you can always see them, you can do this by hovering your cursor over their screen, clicking the three dots that appear in the upper corner, and selecting Pin. And next slide, please. We have three guest speakers with us today, so it's my pleasure to introduce all of them to you, and then I will hand off to Amy to talk. We have Amy Perrin, the Program Director of the Minnesota STAR Program. We have Sherry Cook, the Assistive Technology Program Director at the Lighthouse Center for Vital Living in Duluth. And we have Chanel Calhoun, who is the Independent Living Program Manager and Assistive Technology Specialist at Southeastern Minnesota Center for Independent Living in Rochester. So thank you again for joining us. Please mute yourselves, put your questions in chat as you have them, and it's my pleasure to hand over to Amy.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you for getting us started. I am going to go ahead and pull up a PowerPoint that we have ready for you. Bear with me one moment here. We're not going to spend too much time with the PowerPoint because we want to make sure you guys are able to see some exciting technology. We were already introduced, but as Leah mentioned, my name is Amy Perrin, and I'm the Program Director with the Minnesota STAR Program. I will have the other two introduce themselves as soon as we get through this, if you're okay with that. Actually, we're going to, Chanel, why don't you, no, not Chanel, Sherry. Sherry's going to get us started. And Sherry, if you want to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Yes, thank you. Hello, I'm Sherry Cook, and I'm with the Lighthouse Center for Vital Living in Duluth, Minnesota. And thank you for having me here. On the screen, I'm gonna go over this. What you're seeing right now on the screen, it's showing how this person decided to create a piece of technology that works for them. And so assistive technology, or AT, can be any device or system that helps a person with a disability or challenge to function better in life. AT can also promote inclusion and participation to people with disabilities, aging populations, or chronic disease in society. AT is needed for health to better health outcomes for people. And AT, assistive technology, can be low tech, such as a communication board or a pill organization, or high tech, such as hearing aids or other smart home devices. And I just love this picture, especially up here in Duluth. We just had quite a bit more snow, so this is very fitting for now. The federal definition of assistive technology is any item, piece of equipment, or product system, whether acquired commercially, off the shelf, modified, or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve functional capabilities of individuals with disabilities.
All right, Chanel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Chanel Calhoun. I am the Independent Living Program Manager and Assistive Technology Specialist here at SEMCEL. I'm actually sitting here in our Assistive Technology Lab, and I want to thank everybody for joining us today. This slide covers, the federally defined categories of AT devices. So in our lab, we have a variety of these devices, which include vision, hearing, speech communication, cognition, learning, daily living devices, environmental adaptations, computer-related peripherals, mobility, and recreation and leisure. When I present a little bit later, I'll be showing you some of these categories. And then when we think about environmental adaptations, we also have an access program here at SEMCEL, and those are things like ramps for wheelchairs or widening doorways, grab bars, adaptive shelving for closets, just to give you some ideas of those. I know Sherry was mentioning low tech to high tech devices, but technically low tech devices are devices or equipment that don't require much, if any, training, are less expensive, and don't have a lot of complex or mechanical features. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum with our high tech, that's typically going to be more cost to the equipment, more training that is involved, and have more of those mechanical features. So I'm going to try to show some of those low to high tech devices as well a little later on.
Thank you, Chanel. This is the last slide we're going to share with you today. Then we'll turn off the PowerPoint, and Chanel's going to start off with showing us some technology after Sherry gives you some information on the Duluth program. But what we have on the slide right now is a picture of Minnesota AT for All, which is an online lending library where you can go and search assistive technology equipment. As we go on today, you're going to learn that Lighthouse and SEMCEL are both partners of the Minnesota STAR program, so that some of their equipment is currently on this lending library. They will let you know if there's other places to find their devices. But what we like about this site is you can see photos. If you're able to see images, you could see those are posted. You can create your own accounts, and then you can independently check out devices or request a demonstration on the website. We will make sure and share the link to the website. And then also at the end, the slide deck will be available to you, and the address is in there also. So I think I'm chuckling, Sherry, before you start. So you mentioned low tech. So I'm sitting here fidgeting with a little fidget toy, which is about as low tech as it gets. But Sherry, would you like to share some information about Lighthouse and the great work you guys are doing up in Duluth?
Yes, thank you. So yes, so we are in Duluth, Minnesota, and we currently are in, I don't know how familiar everyone is with Duluth, but we are currently in a West Duluth location. We've been here for a very long time, and we are in the process of moving to a downtown Duluth location. and opening a very large assistive technology demo area, in which we're very, very excited for. But one of the reasons I'm not able to show devices today is because we're in the middle of packing and trying to organize before we do get moved. So the Lighthouse Center for Vital Living was known as the Lighthouse for the Blind for more than 100 years. And a little over 3 years ago, we expanded our mission and we changed our name, and we are now the Lighthouse Center for Vital Living. And we serve everyone, all ages, across disabilities. And we have 3 different divisions. We have adjustment to blindness. We have our assistive technology and technology program, which I am the program director of. And then we have our occupational therapists. And to just really briefly go over it, we are a nonprofit, obviously, and we are run by many different grants, and we do have grant funding available for anyone that is up in this Arrowhead area or surrounding area that is underserved, that you can reach out if there is a device or funding for a device that is needed. We do have a large assistive technology lending library. We are a STAR partner, and we can borrow out devices for up to 45 days for people to try. We can train people on them, do trials just to see if that device works for them or not before it's decided if that should be something that the family should purchase, the waiver should purchase, insurance, or one of our other grants. So it's really important to go over those devices in the person's environment and give the trials to see what works for them, what might not work for them, and move on. So it's a process. And I don't know exactly how much time I have, so I feel like I'm trying to go really fast, but please know that you can reach out to me directly if you have any questions in regards to the Lighthouse Center for Vital Living in Duluth, or our programs, some of our grant funds that we have available. And we also can be found, our website can be found, and there's a referral form on that too for anyone that would like to refer to us for technology, assistive technology, occupational therapists, and adjustment to blindness. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sherry. All right, Chanel.
So again, I know my name is Chanel, and I am here in Southeastern Minnesota. So there are 8 centers in the state of Minnesota, and StemCell serves the 11 Southeastern counties. So what makes centers unique is that, we serve people of all ages who identify as having a disability. We don't require any proof. If somebody's needing help with a various independent living skill, we are here to help people live as independently as they choose. And so we were happy to open our assistive technology lab and program in 2019, becoming partners with STAR. And here in our lab, we have just a small variety of all the AT that exists in the world. So that's what's been really great about being partners with STAR is I'll have individuals come here and need a variety of devices, and I may have one of them, but then I can reach out to STAR, and I've gotten devices from 3 different partners for an individual to use here in our AT lab so that they could determine if it worked for them and met their needs. So we're able to provide, those demonstrations, help people learn about those devices, compare their features. Just like Sherry at the Lighthouse, offer those short-term loans of up to 45 days. So people can take these devices home, take them to school, take them to work, make sure that they're working for them in their natural environment. We're here to help, educate and answer any questions that come up. And then from there, help them explore what their resources are in obtaining this technology, whether that is through a grant, through a waiver, is it helping create a budget and saving up, what does that look like? So today I want to show some of the devices that we are housing here in our lab. One of the categories we talked about, and I'll start with, is daily living. And I'm going to kind of showcase some of the low tech to high tech with this specific eat well, utensils. When we talk about low tech, I'm sure I'm holding up some weighted utensils here. So weighted utensils can help people stabilize, if they're experiencing tremors, if they have cerebral palsy, Parkinson's, arthritis, and no mechanical features. You can get a set of these for around $50. So we've got just some weighted utensils here. I wanted to also show here, I've got some grip aids. So here we've got easy hold silicone cuffs. They come in a variety of sizes, and they can help an individual hang on to a variety of items if they're experiencing any difficulty with their grip, fine motor skills. So here I've got one that's attached to a spatula. And you can see I don't even need to really close my hand entirely in order to hang on to this device. I was working with a woman who was working in a bakery, and her job included washing cupcake pans, and she had a very hard time hanging on to the brush. And so she was worried about losing her job because she wasn't able to keep up with the productivity needed. And so she came in to visit our AT lab, loaned out these particular devices and took them to work. And her mom actually came and visited our office that same week and just said it was a night and day difference for her. And she no longer, feared losing her job. So it was just something as simple as a silicone cuff that helped kind of remove that barrier for her. You can see too, I've got it even attached here to a toothbrush. It can be attached to silverware, to cups. So those are some silicone cuffs. Another option here, I've got just a simple cotton cuff with Velcro. So this can be sized down to fit an individual's hand. I've got a spoon in here. You can put any utensil in there. I've worked with people that use this for stylists, to help, navigate their phone or their tablets. So this would be a cotton cuff. I'm going to work my way up to some mid-tech technology here. I've got, this is called the Liftware Steady. So you can see I've got a spoon attachment here that I'm going to connect to this Liftware Steady. And this device is for people that experience tremors. So if somebody is shaking and maybe having some tremors, difficulty eating, this technology is supposed to reduce the shakes by about 70%. So helping the food stay on that spoon. There's different attachments that come with this device. There is a fork, there's a spork, which I think sporks are really fun. But you charge these just kind of like you do a cell phone. So you plug them into the wall and you can charge those devices and easily change out what utensil you want to use. So I know we don't have our Liftware level here, but Amy was going to showcase the level for us.
Thanks, Chanel.
Yeah.
So the level is made by the same company, and it targets a different need. You'll see that the handle is much longer and it does have the strap. So if you're someone who is unable to grip, same type of top that's magnetic. This is gyroscoping. So it's turning on right now, and you'll see as I move my hand, the spoon keeps level. And then as I bring it to my mouth, it follows to my mouth. So for someone who maybe has some shoulder limitations or just not able to get a lot of movement in, this is a great option to try. Sometimes what we'll do at STAR, maybe you gals do the same thing, is if we've got someone interested in adaptive tech for eating, we'll send both versions. We'll let them try out both. They might think that the steady is the answer, but then get the level and realize that maybe that is going to accommodate their needs a little bit better. Thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Amy. I'm going to show a piece of technology which would be considered high tech. It's one of my favorite devices here. This is the OB dining robot. So you can see here, I'm gonna take the plate out, but you've got 4 different bowls in here, and you can see that they are there's I don't know if you can probably see the line in there. There's like a fill line for the food, but then a little what would we call this?
Lip? I'd call it a
Yes, a lip, so the food can get onto the spoon button. It operates using switches. So I've got 2 switches here. Switches can be used, with push of a hand. You could put them on the floor and use them with your foot. I worked with an individual that used a tongue switch, a sip and puff as well. Well, with the push of a button, this device it can navigate to different bowls. And then when I push the other switch here, you can see that it will actually go down and it's going to scoop up food. It wipes the bottom of the spoon, and then it will come out so an individual can eat off the spoon. You actually train the OB and position it to where you can eat best. So this device, I worked with a woman actually up in Duluth, and it was an amazing journey because she's had tremors for the majority of her life. And she tried the weighted utensils. They just were not working for her. She tried the Liftware Steady and was close to giving up. She said she was eating a lot using her hands because she couldn't eat cereal. She couldn't eat yogurt, and it was just easier to use her hands. So she was able to get a demonstration on the OB. We were able to ship this to her home, and virtually I was able to help her set that up. And she was able to take this and use it with her occupational therapist and try it at home, and determined that it was helping her to eat independently. So we helped her navigate the steps to obtain her own OB. And she did come back and say, I can eat cereal now. I can eat yogurt now. This is it's amazing. So this device is just creates more independence, removes those barriers for people who are wanting to eat independently.
Thank you, Sherry. I think this is a great example of how beneficial the lending libraries can be. That piece of technology that Chanel just showed us sells for about $7,000, which is really a big investment, right? We want to make sure that the technology works. I see she's got another item ready, but before you go on, someone had asked, it's OB, that's O, B as in boy, I, OB, and we could put some info in the chat on that.
Yeah. So I do have the next item I have out here. This is called the Poor Thing. So it comes in 1/2 gallon and 1 gallon sizes, and its purpose is just to help those that experience any tremors or limited or weak arm strength core fluids. So I've got a cup here, and then just with a simple tilt, I can pour my liquid, and then a simple release, it will go back up into a standing position. I know I worked with Amy a little bit on this one because I was helping a woman who buys the cartons of milk. And so we're like, gosh, can we get this to work? And I didn't have the 1/2 gallon one. I just have the 1 gallon here in my lab, but Star has the 1/2 gallon. So Amy was super helpful and did some troubleshooting. And we determined, like, if you wrapped a rubber band around the neck of this Poor Thing and the milk carton, that we were able to get that device to stay standing. So the woman was able to proceed with getting her own Poor Thing as well. The next devices I was going to show would be in the hearing category. And I'm going to show the MaxiAid and the pocket talker. And I guess this is a really good example of why demonstrations are really nice, because here we've got two personal amplifiers. They do the same thing, but they function a little bit differently, have some different features. So both of these devices have directional microphones. The MaxiAid is right here up top, kind of built in, whereas the Pocket Talker's microphone is set on the outside here. And with the Pocket Talker, I can remove this microphone, and it comes with an extension. So if I wanted to maybe put the microphone across the table and hear people that were maybe sitting or standing further away from me, the Pocket Talker has that option. Whereas the MaxiAid, it doesn't have that option. They both have your volume buttons and your tone buttons. Another difference between these two personal amplifiers is the Bellman and Symphone MaxiAid has a T-coil function. So for anybody that needs a T-coil pickup for inductive loops, this MaxiAid has that option. I also know that MaxiAid has an option that has Bluetooth capabilities as well. I don't have that here in our lab at SemCell, but they do make those that have the Bluetooth capabilities. And with this Bellman MaxiAid, it does have cables, so you can connect it to maybe your TV and hear the audio output that way. Whereas the Pocket Talker, it doesn't have that feature, but you could go and you could put the microphone next to a speaker, but you may get more background noise with that option. So it's nice for people to compare those features. And again, if they want to loan them out, take it home and try it and see which one's going to really work best for them. I know I always have a story, but I did work with a woman she's a waitress, and very hard time hearing. She had a talk with her supervisor because there was a lot of customer complaints about getting orders wrong. She wasn't hearing what the customers were ordering. And so she did come in. She chose to try the Pocket Talker first. She wasn't a big fan of it and came back and tried the MaxiAid. And again, just said it made a world of difference. And her supervisor even pulled her aside and said, thank you for what you've done. Like, I've noticed a big improvement. So it was just nice to be able to have both options for her to try and determine what met her needs. Thank you, Marissa. So I see, let's see here.
I just answered, Paul asked a question about when do I call STAR? When do I call SemCell? When do I call Lighthouse? Usually people are going to call whoever is geographically closest to them. Although I can tell you, if someone would reach out to us here in STAR and we don't have a piece of equipment, then we'll reach out to both Sherry and Chanel and our other partners. We do have a few other partners throughout the state. So don't worry. We're all in this together. We collaborate. It's really important to us to work together as a team. We know that together we do better for everyone and we offer better services. So don't hesitate. Just call one of us. And if one can't help, we'll find someone that can help you.
All right. I'm going to show a couple devices, thinking blind and low vision. The first device I want to show is called the OrCam Read. This device, I'm super thankful to have this too in our AT lab. It helps those with low vision, but this also is a device that helps people that may be auditory learners, maybe have difficulty reading or have dyslexia. And so with this device, it has Bluetooth capabilities. You don't need to be connected to the internet. And with the push of a button, it's got a little camera, infrared camera, that will take pictures of text and read them out loud. So I just got to, OrCam just released a stand for the OrCam Read. So I have that here to show as well. If there's anybody that maybe has difficulty hanging on to the device, lining it up so they can take a good picture of it, this stand has been very, very helpful to have. But I'm going to see if I can show you, got some text here, and I'm going to line it up. It's got a red box outlining the text, and I let it go.
Assistive technology at program designed to offer assistive technology education, provide opportunity.
I don't know. I hope you guys can heard that.
Yes.
But it is if you can hear the output, that I think the text sounds the voice sounds really nice. It's clear. It picks up. It's surprising the text that it picks up and reads all at once. So it differs in some of the other reading pens where, you know, with those reading pens, you have to scan line by line and have it read out loud. With this, you can take a picture of a big area of text and have it read out loud. This device also works really nice with images on screen. So if you need to have things read to you from your phone or from your computer, you can take those images from there as well. It also has the voice control. So I can enable this and say, you know, read text, or turn up the volume, and it can do that too with my voice. So I would consider this to be on the high tech technology. So OrCam read. And then I'm going to show you the OrCam My Eye. So I'm going to pop on my glasses here. This device, the My Eye, is a wearable device for blind and low vision. So with the touch of the device or simply pointing, this will read money. It'll read barcodes. I have taught it, you know, you can identify faces as well. So I'm going to try to show you, see if it works, right? I taught it my daughter's face. So I don't know if you heard that, but I showed a picture of my daughter and I held it up in front of this camera here. I'm going to remove it. You can see how small this is. And with a magnet, it will attach to the side of my glasses. So these glasses came with the product, but if somebody were to wear their own glasses, it's got little attachments that you can put on your own set of glasses. So you aren't able to hear that, Amy?
No, we're not.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, I'm going to be fancy today. I've got a $10 bill. Usually I have only a $1 bill. But I point. Did you hear that?
No.
Okay. I promise everybody, I pointed at the $10 bill and it registered it and it told me I've got a $10 bill. So I also brought here, I've got basil leaves, seasoning in my hand. You won't be able to hear it, but I can point to this bottle and it will read to me basil leaves, which it just did. So
we could hear a little bit, but it wasn't very good.
Okay.
We're getting close on time. Chanel, do you have anything else that is like you really want to see?
No, the last thing I had was just the Echo Show.
Okay. Let's talk about that in a minute, but I want to share, Nance Schultz just asked, can you read the ingredients on the back of a jar of food with that? And absolutely. That device is very powerful, and a pretty neat story I have on that one is a gentleman who is blind, has been blind since birth, tried the device out one time and he was wearing them and he went outside and it told him about a restaurant that was across the street. It could see the restaurant. He had no idea. He had been in this place for many years and he had no idea that that restaurant was there. So it was just really exciting for him to have this tool to be able to increase his awareness of his environment. Another very expensive device, I think that one is close to $5,000. So it's pretty spendy. I did see a question earlier on that I wanted to touch upon, and Sherry and Chanel, please feel free to jump in if there's anything you want to add to any of these questions. But someone asked, are there challenges to get MA to pay for some of these items if a doctor prescribes them. So we find that if you're on waivers, most of this technology will be covered without any problem through waivers. Exciting news, I did hear that the OB is available to vets through the VA. The VA homes are now starting to carry it. We have not seen, let me know if you guys know differently, we have not seen that the private insurances are paying most, or will pay for most of this stuff. Speech communication devices are one thing that can get covered through MA, but there's a lengthy process that that you have to go through to get it approved. But it is certainly something that can be done. Leah, were there other questions that we missed so far? You're on mute.
Yes, thank you, Amy, and everyone. These are some questions that were submitted by registrants prior to today's presentation. One quick question, which I can go ahead and answer, is whether or not today's presentation was going to be available for continuing education units. Sadly, this is not. Here's a question. Are there codified laws or case laws that spell out how and which special education needs have to be accommodated in an IEP? What requirements are there for a teacher in each school to support the students who require assistive technology services, not just devices?
Guys, if you're okay with it, Sherry and Chanel, I'll respond on this. And then if you have anything to ask, that one I had to phone a friend on because I know that schools are told they must consider AT, but what does that mean exactly, right? So I was able to get some language from both Minnesota law and federal law. I just put my email in the chat. Whoever asked that question, if you would like to reach out to me directly, I can send you the links for the federal law and the state law. One of the state laws defines that they must provide special education services. And then the second one that I got was the definition of assistive technology to help clarify for the teachers. But long story short, this is kind of a gray area, and it really can vary from district to district. Sherry, Chanel, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I guess I would like to add, I know, in schools, IEPs, providing, schools are to help explore these options, and is assistive technology an option? I have had a few really good experiences with some of the schools in the area where the school reached out. They had a student that was needing some assistive technology, but they weren't quite sure. I know budget can always be hard with schools, right? So they used our lending library for the student and tried some of the devices, and that was their way of justifying purchasing the AT for the student and any future students. So, I welcome any teachers and educators that want to use our libraries to help connect students with assistive technology.
This is Sherry with the Lighthouse. If I can really quickly add, up here, we in the Duluth area, we have the Northern Lights Special Education Cooperative that serves pretty much most of the Arrowhead region for anyone on IEP, and they do borrow from our lending library quite often to try devices, and we even will set some money aside too if they have a particular device that we don't have and we cannot borrow. There have been times where our executive director is like, "Oh yeah, we need to make sure that that they have what they need to try with the students." And so, same as Chanel was saying, we do have some of the area schools and then SPED staff and Northern Lights staff that will borrow our devices and see if they work. And then I will, of course, go in and train if needed.
Excellent. Thank you. Another question, this might be very specific. Can caddy waivers assist with a laptop to help me live independently?
Sherry, that's probably a great question for you, huh?
This is Sherry with the Lighthouse. That really depends. Waivers, I know we've been getting iPads that we can get or tablets pushed through to help someone as far as live more independently. If it has, especially like something environmental control or smart home adaptation, something like that, that we can connect to it. As far as a laptop or tablet needed for connecting to a virtual doctor appointment or something like that, we have not been getting those covered under that. We've been using some of our grant funds to cover for connectivity, remote connectivity, and connectivity to community-based services. I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Yes, thank you. And one other question that we got before today, which I believe you've answered, but you may have some elaboration, was, does the lending library assist with hearing aids or have other tech for people who are hard of hearing? Now, we've seen some tech for hard of hearing, but what about the assisting with hearing aids or other options?
This is Amy. So unfortunately, we're not able to help with hearing aids. Really, you need to go to an audiologist and get a thorough exam. We have started to look at the over-the-counter hearing aids, and the best thing I heard about this was compare it to a pair of cheater glasses. Over-the-counter hearing aids would be similar, where they are, not custom made for you. They, if you're a smaller built person, they may not fit well if you get in the ear or behind the ear. But if you have mild hearing loss, they may work wonderfully for you. So they're starting around $100, and they can go upwards to, I think I've seen them up to $800. But it's certainly something to check out. We don't carry them in our lending library though, because they're personal, and it would be difficult to sanitize them. But we do have a lot of other great tools for folks who are deaf, hard of hearing, such as alerting systems. We've got solutions where it's a base unit that flashes, and then there's a vibrating disc that can go in your chair or under your mattress, where if someone rings the doorbell, if your phone rings. Another great story, we had a social worker reach out recently from a local hospital. There was a couple who had just had a baby, and the baby was a little bit early, and the hospital would not release them because the couple was deaf, and they were worried, how are they going to know when the baby cries? So the social worker called us here at STAR, and we had a baby cry alerting system, and we were able to get it to them that same day. They tried it out in the hospital. Everyone was pleased. They took it home. The baby woke them up every 3 hours like it was supposed to, and they were able to use our device until they were able to purchase one. So that's something that we see a lot. Another thing would be smoke alarms, smoke alerts for folks who are deaf, hard of hearing too. So a few examples. I do want to mention, though, I didn't really give you guys the details on STAR, but STAR is Minnesota's federally funded Assistive Technology Act program. We are housed in the Twin Cities, and like Sherry and Chanel's programs, we offer device demonstrations and device loans. We partner, in addition with these two programs, we're partnered with Pacer, who is also in the Twin Cities. We're partnered with Moorhead University has an assistive technology program. North Dakota Assistive, they serve the Minnesota residents that are right on the border. And then the ALS Association is also, we do also work with Connectability, who is near St. Cloud. So because we're a small office, we've found that really the best way to support Minnesotans is to work with all of these amazing people. And, each of us have a little different specialty. So I don't know about you, Sherry and Chanel, but I really enjoy connecting with all of them, and we learn from one another. So it's been really great. And it was really important to us today to bring people from different parts of the state, because we wanted to make sure that if anyone attending was from outstate, that there are resources around the state for you.
That's excellent. Thank you all so much. At this time, if you all have finished your presentations, we are opening the chat box for questions. So if you do have a question for any of the guest speakers, maybe about something you saw today or something that you have a question about, you can type that in the chat and they will respond to you. And thank you all for responding to the questions as they've come up about the names of the items. That's very helpful.
The PowerPoint that we will share does have quite a few devices in it. We decided today not to just share the pictures of the devices. We thought it would be more impactful if Chanel could do a live demo for you. So make sure you take a look at that. And if there's any devices that you want to know more about, reach out to any one of us. We'd be happy to help with that. And also, we were kind of hoping today, I think, just to get you thinking, get you curious about technology. And, if there's something that you struggle with and you're not sure if there's a tool or a resource out there, please reach out to us. A lot of times, you might have a piece of technology like a cell phone that can really support you in a lot of ways, and you just don't even think about it. The OrCam that Chanel shared, there's an app if you have an iPhone that actually does a lot of the same things that the OrCam does, and it's a free app. So a lot of times when people reach out to us, we will ask them about technology that they're currently using and how they're using it, and then we explore if there's ways to increase the usage of that device, or maybe correlate with other equipment that would work well with it.
That's excellent. Thank you. So there is a question specifically about whether or not there's grant funding for a day program to purchase any of these items for those that attend. I don't know where that is, but.
This is Chanel. I am not aware of any grants for day programs. That's something we could try to explore. But I would say if there are any individuals attending a day program that are in need of assistive technology, we can help them explore connecting with their case manager and looking at their waiver and what their waiver could help provide.
I would suggest reaching out to DHS to see if they're aware of any grants. Also, if you want to reach out to me at the STAR program, I would be happy to check with our Office of Grants Management here to see if there's anything they would suggest.
And this is Sherry with the Lighthouse. I have brought out devices for to show different day programs pre-COVID, and some of our programs haven't started back up again up here. They're still virtual, but just to show what is a possibility, see what type of things that different day programs were doing, and then bring out and see if there's a possibility for things to work. And then, like Chanel said, maybe it would be that one particular person that used a certain device to help cook or make a smoothie, then we could talk to their case manager, kind of go case by case that way.
Thank you so much. And then I see we have a question about your 3 contact information. I'm guessing that's going to be on the slides. Sherry and Amy, thank you for putting your contact information in. And there's Chanel, so everybody has that here. Any other questions?
This is Chanel. I can also share, maybe somebody's wondering, So what do I do if I want to explore this? I know our contact information is on here, but it's as easy as giving a call or shooting an email. With technology, if somebody isn't close by and able to visit, I definitely can meet with somebody virtually, talk with somebody over the phone, give those virtual demonstrations. And the majority, as long as the device isn't too big, like I've got a lift chair here in the lab, I'm not going to be able to mail that. We've gotten creative where we've gotten, staff or family that have helped pick up devices, but we can mail technology to people for that loan, and then have options for getting that device back, whether it's mailing it back, bringing it back in person, or kind of making arrangements for us to meet and pick that up.
Chanel, this is Amy. That was a great point. So I think all three of our programs work this way, where we will ship the equipment to you if you're unable to pick it up. We pay, and let me know, Chanel and Sherry, if you do it differently, but we pay to ship the equipment to the borrower. And then at the end of the 45-day loan, it is their responsibility to get the equipment back to us. So they can either, for STAR, you could schedule an appointment with us and deliver it to us at the appointment, or you could ship it back to us. But if you ship it, you have to pay the freight. And that would be the only expense. There is no cost to borrow devices from any of us.
Excellent. So much information. Thank you all so much. And seeing a lot of comments, just thanking you all for the demonstrations today and how impressed people are to see technology has come. One comment was since the day of Velcro. So it's nice to see there are new additions.
We still love Velcro, though.
Yes.
Velcro and duct tape,
We can't live without them, right? Any other questions before we wrap up this meeting? And I do think we have a final slide, and also calling participants to the fact that one of our behind the scenes OIO partners has put a link to a survey in the chat there to see how well participants enjoyed today's Lunch and Learn discussion. That helps them form future possible topics. So if you could take that survey, that would be great. And do we want to put another slide? I don't know if we have another slide, but you will get a survey. People will receive an email with that survey as well. And as we mentioned earlier, the recording for today will be available sometime after next week. And as all of our presenters today mentioned, they will submit their PowerPoint slides. So please watch on the OIO website. Also, if you haven't done so already, the Olmstead Implementation Office does have several events. If you want to sign up on their newsletter, you will automatically be notified of these events as they come up on the calendar, so that you can participate in future.
Leah, could I say one more thing?
Please, Amy, go ahead.
Okay, yep, this is Amy. I do want to mention that STAR is currently working on a monthly webinar series on assistive technology, and we have different topics each month. April is going to be all things food. I'm thinking probably a lot of the technology that Chanel showcased today will be demonstrated and talked about, but there definitely will be a lot more. We're going to be talking about food preparation in addition to eating. And then in May, we're going to talk about accessibility, digital accessibility. May is actually Digital Accessibility Awareness Month. So we thought that would be a great month. But we would love to hear from all of you as far as there's certain topics or subjects that you would like covered. There's so much that we didn't even touch upon today. You know, we didn't touch upon anything environmental adaptions. We didn't talk about apps. We didn't talk about AAC. I mean, it's endless. So we would love to know if there's anything that you're interested in. I think all of us have Facebook pages. So feel free to check Facebook for any upcoming events, and please join us.
So, Amy, if they are interested in the webinar series, would they go to the STAR website and sign up there for those? Or what's the best way for people to get connected with that?
Soon they will. We're working on that internally here, but first we are currently advertising it on Facebook and on LinkedIn, but keep checking the STAR website. It will be there too.
Great. Well, look at that, just about perfect timing. Unless we have any last questions or any last comments from our presenters, I'd like to say a sincere thank you to everyone for all the time, the demonstrations, and the very useful information in today's session, and for all the rest of you for joining us and for asking questions and being good participants. So thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your day and week. And it looks like there's plenty more to sustain us in the future. So we hope to see you all again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.